Afternoon. Excuse me. I thought it would be interesting to just add a few things to what I started talking about this morning, because first of all, I did want to actually say that I think it's really important to always keep your mobile phone with you. I know to my cost, especially when you're alone, because when I broke my leg 2.5 years ago, I didn't have my mobile phone with me. So it took a very long time to be rescued. So if you're living on your own, especially at the moment, that's really important. Anyway, the reason I wanted to come back on today is because I've become aware that a lot of people in times of stress become quite judgmental. And I know it's something we all do, and it's a kind of a human reaction. We react, and it comes out of our place of fear, and it comes out of the fact that we don't seem to have any control. So I thought what I'd do is, it's a Sunday afternoon, is read you a story. And a lot of you might know this story. It's the story of the old man and his horse. It's an old Chinese story, Chinese being very topical. But stories through the centuries have been used to help people kind of get a different aspect and look at the moral of what they're trying to talk about. And this story is about trying to be non-judgmental. So here's the story for a Sunday. The story is simple. There was an old man in a village, very poor, but even kings were jealous of him because he had a beautiful white horse. Such a horse had never been seen before. The beauty, the very grandeur, the strength. Kings asked for the horse, and they offered fabulous prices. But the old man would say, "This horse is not a horse to me. He is a person, and how can you sell a person? He is a friend, he is not a possession. How can you sell a friend? No, it's not possible." The man was poor. There was every temptation, but he never sold the horse. One morning, he suddenly found that the horse was not in the stable. The whole village gathered, and they said, "You foolish old man, we knew it beforehand that someday the horse would be stolen, and you are so poor that someday the horse would be stolen, and how can you protect such a precious thing? It would have been better to sell it. You could have fetched any price you asked. Any fancy price was possible. Now the horse is gone. It's a curse and a misfortune." The old man said, "Don't go too far. Simply say that the horse is not in the stable. This is the fact. Everything else is a judgment. Whether it is a misfortune or not, how do you know? How do you judge?" And the people said, "Oh, don't try to befool us. We may not be great philosophers, but no philosophy is needed. It is a simple fact that a treasure has been lost, and it is a misfortune." The old man said, "I will stick to the fact that the stable is empty and the horse is gone. Anything else I don't know. Whether it is a misfortune or a blessing, I don't know, because this is just a fragment. Who knows what is going to follow it?" Oh, well, the people laughed. They thought the old man had gone mad. They always knew it, that he was a little crazy. Otherwise, he would have sold the horse and lived in riches. But he was like a woodcutter, and he was very old and still cutting wood and bringing the wood from the forest and selling it. He was living hand to mouth in misery and poverty. Now it was completely certain, the people thought, this man is crazy. 15 days went by, and suddenly one night the horse returned. He had not been stolen. he'd escaped into the wilderness. And not only did he come back, but he brought a dozen wild horses with him. Well, again, the people gathered and said, "Old man, you were right and we were wrong. It was not a misfortune. It proved to be a blessing. We are sorry that we insisted." The old man said, "Here you go again, going too far. Let's just say that the horse is back, and let's just say that 12 horses have come with the horse. But don't judge. Who knows whether it is a blessing or not? It is only a fragment. Unless you know the whole story, how can you judge? You read one page of a book. How can you judge the whole book? You read a whole sentence. How can you judge the whole story? And even a single word is not in the hand. Life is so vast, a fragment of a word, you have judged the whole. Don't say that this is a blessing. Nobody knows. And I am happy in my non-judgment. Don't disturb me. This time, the people could not say quite so much. Maybe the old man was again right, so they kept silent. But inside they knew well that he was wrong. 12 beautiful horses had come with the horse. A little training, and they could all be sold, and they would fetch much money. The old man had a young son, only one son. The young son started to train the wild horses. But just a week later, he fell from one of the wild horses and his legs were broken. The people gathered again, and people, I'm afraid, are people everywhere. Again, they judged. Judgment comes so soon. They said, "Oh, you were right. Again, you proved right. It was not a blessing. It was again a misfortune. Your only son has lost his legs, and in your old age, he was your only support. Now you are poorer than ever." The old man said, "You are obsessed with judgment. Don't go that far. Say only that my son has broken his legs. Who knows whether this is a misfortune or a blessing? Nobody knows." Again, a fragment. And more is never given to you. Life comes in fragments. When we judge, it's about the total. After a few more weeks, the country went to war with a neighbouring country, and all the young men of the town were forcibly taken for the military. Only the old man's son was left because he was crippled. The people gathered, crying and weeping, because from every house young people were forcibly taken away, and there was no possibility of their coming back, because the country that had attacked was a big country, and the fight was a losing fight. They were not going to come back. The whole town was crying and weeping, and they came to the old man and they said, "You were right, old man. God knows you were right. This proved a blessing. Maybe your son is crippled, but still he is with you. Our sons are gone forever. At least he is alive with you, and by he will start walking, maybe a little limp, but he will be okay." Oh, the old man said again, "It is impossible to talk to you people. You go on and on and on. You go on judging. Nobody knows. Nobody knows whether it is a blessing or a misfortune. Nobody will ever be able to know it, because only God knows. And when we say only God knows, it means only the total knows. Judge ye not, otherwise you will never be able to become one with the total. So I tell you this story for you to think about judgment, because we all do it. I catch myself probably many times during the day in my head, the little chattery voices making judgments. And I try to be as mindful as possible to be aware of it and manage it, because the thing is, we don't know. We don't know why we are going through what we're going through. So what I'm saying is, this is a good time to finish, because you'll never believe what's happening. The cat is bringing up his dinner on the floor. So on that note, I think it's time I finished, but I will be back tomorrow, but in the afternoon. Thanks a lot for listening. Bye for now.